Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Imperium Legends. Now this discussion is also going to be for technically Imperium Classics. Like, the only difference between this and Imperium Classics is the factions that are in the core box. So each box comes with 8 different civilizations that you can play. I happen to do the one with Legends because I was more interested in that. So this is also going to talk about like my thoughts on the multiplayer, because I have played this multiplayer, and the solo variant. So it's kind of a combination of that. And with that being said, this game is fantastic. It's so clean of a civilization game and a deck building game, where it blows my mind at how I was gonna say thin, of how simple that the rules are. I mean, even with a game that's talking about, like, whenever you have to have a glossary in your game, where it's like, hey, here's how to play. Okay, well, now here are keywords. Where you just, like, pick up on it almost immediately. But also with how deep the game actually is. With each civilization you're playing, they do feel and play differently. And I've recorded the run through previously, but as I was thinking on it, I was like, I wanna play that again, which is very rare for me, especially as a solo player, where I just actually want to come down and play a solo game again and try it a different way, picking a different faction, going up a different bot, and just be like, okay, let's just see how it plays out this time. And I'm just blown away by what they were able to achieve with a game like this. Now, if you're coming in thinking, like, this would probably be, if you're comparing it to a Civilization style game, then kind of like maybe Through the Ages, if you're thinking of board game, or even Civilization, like the PC game, you're not going to get that here. You're going to get something close. Like, there's not a bunch of different resources. You're not going into combat. I mean, you have attack type cards, but there's no real, like, tech tree. It's all minimalistic and kind of, I want to say watered down, but I think that's actually a good thing here, because those games exist. If you want to play an actual, like, Civ replica, then I would always say go play Through the Ages. In fact, I would say don't even buy the board game, play the app, and if you're going to play the app, just go actually play Civ on the PC. So whenever you're coming to get this, you're coming here because, one, they have great historical representation for the different nations. They have completely different nations that I don't see really anywhere else. You're not some generic whatever kind of just nothing, like kind of like you are in Through the Ages, where you don't really start off anything, but as you start getting people through history, then that represents kind of what you are doing. Nope, you pick a nation here, and from the setup, you're immediately like, yep, I feel like Egypt. Yep, I feel like Qin. Yep, I feel like King Arthur. And as the game goes on, you're like, yeah, this does kind of feel like what they were about. And there's just so much room to play with just the different nation cards. Like, I played the Egyptians in the run through, and I had a bunch of development cards, and I mean, they're quick to develop. I mean, Egypt, the Egyptian, nation civilization was very ahead of its time, from my understanding. So it was actually really surprising that I didn't have a whole lot of nation cards to actually put into my deck before I was already an empire. Like, I was an empire quick, and then I was like, yeah, no, I'm developing. I have medicine, I have all that. But because of the way that my cards were coming out and the way I wanted to play, I barely use them. And so there's a lot of ways that you can be like, you know what? Yes, you're Egypt, but you're not required to play the same way every single time. And that's why I think this game is great. The other fascinating thing about this is one of the only deck builders that I've played where you want to cycle through your deck. And because every time you cycle, you get a new specialized card that goes into it, and then that gets you closer to being an Empire, which then allows you to play higher, type of cards that are a little bit better if you don't cheat like I did during the run through. But that's just very fascinating to me. Like, normally you want to hold on to your cards and you want to slowly build out your hand so you can do really cool turns. But this game is like, no, just discard whatever's in your hand and just keep drawing. Oh, you can't? Okay, well, get a new card and slowly evolve your civilization. I also like the fact that they do put a hard cap on it whenever you are trying to become an Empire, where if you do get a card draw engine, you're doing that for pretty much just your turn or even future turns, but you can't get a new nation card and then keep drawing because of something you have set up, keep drawing and then do it again. You can't ramp that way. But whenever you are an Empire, then you can start developing a lot more. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can. My ear itches. So I like that. Because there are some times where it's it's in a lot of deck builders where you can get engines like that, which is always fun, but it can be kind of annoying when you're my card, my turn ended, it's now your turn, and then we refilled the market, and now you're getting all these cards, and I don't even get a chance to get them. So, in other games, people can ramp like that, and you're like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. Everyone's on a relatively even playing field. And the other thing that I absolutely love here is the fact that when you acquire something or break through, which, breakthrough is just a better acquire, what you get comes into your hand. And I love deck building games that do that, because it's no longer just what's in your hand. Because if you have something in your hand, you're like, man, I have this glory card that I get rid of 3 regions to get a fame card. Well, I only have 2. Oh, wait a minute. I have this card that lets me acquire a region. And now, or I have 2, let's say I have 2 regions already out, and you don't have a region in your hand. You're like, well, hold on, there's one out in the market. And I have a card that lets me take that. So I'm going to play that, take that region, and then play my second action to play it down, and then you can play glory. So I love the fact that whenever you're looking at stuff, and the market is also like a foe in your hand, where you're just like, yep, those are all very good options for me to try and strategize and do, and play around with, so then I can therefore develop my engine, because it's not like, okay, well, now I used it, now it goes away. Or if you want to start getting Solstice stuff and it's almost the end of your turn and you're like, hey, that has a Solstice ability. Cool, I'm going to acquire that and I'm going to play it. So it's just those two things, the unique twist on deck building and the fact that what you actually get goes into your hand is amazing. I really, really like that. So, how does this work as a multiplayer game? It is okay. It is fine. I think it's basically multiplayer solitaire. Yeah, they have attack cards like this Egyptian expansion. Each other player abandons a region. You may acquire a region or a tributary. Sure, yeah, you have a few of those, and it's kind of just like, whatever, because like I said, how it is pretty fluid and easy to kind of do stuff. That's more just, it's kind of like, why even have it? Every time I've played this multiplayer, it's very little interaction. Everyone's just, you're playing your own nation, and then you score at the end. The only time it kind of becomes, trepidatious between players is if someone is going really hard into unrest, like giving unrest to someone else, because they're trying to go for a collapse victory. But that is very hard to do, and because unrest don't go, which is another reason why I love this game, because Unrest don't go into a discard pile, they go straight into their hand. If you flood them with Unrest, then all they do on their turn is like, okay, well, you gave me more than I want, so my entire turn is for me to just get rid of them. So it's like, you kind of wasted your turn giving me all these Unrests, and so you just made me waste my turn, and now that entire whole round was just a waste of time. The only time I feel, and actually, Nigel Buckle, even he mentioned that the game should not end in collapse unless people are just playing poorly, like they're letting it happen. Because yeah, you're gonna get Unrest in the game. It's just kind of like if you weren't paying attention or you've never played this game before, that you're just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna garrison an Unrest. Okay, I'm gonna discard it, and you're not actively, so they're all spaced out in between your stuff, so you can't ever get a solid hand to then get rid of them. Then yeah, you might get caught off guard and it ends in collapse. You have the most, and then you just lose. So it's yeah, those are just kind of, I mean, let's see, some of the attack cards that I had, which were not many. I barely got any. In fact, I might have only just gotten Egyptian Incursion. Like, each play one population and 2 materials to acquire a region or a tributary. Each other player recalls a region. Okay, yeah, they recall it. That's that. Unless they really needed it, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, at least I for sure wouldn't recommend it with more than 2, because a slight negative on the game, and that could just be because I haven't played this game a ton. Like, I haven't even played each faction more than once. Like, I've played quite a few factions now, but I've never played them multiple times. I've now seen the Arthurians, the Arthurians played quite a bit, but that's also in bot form and in play form, like human form, I guess. The game takes some time. I don't even know how long they say on the box. How long do they say? 40 minutes per player. That would be a lie. If I don't know how they calculate that solo. You know, it's like if they're counting it as another player, that'd be 80 minutes, which would be what, an hour and 20 minutes. So no, it's like each time I've played this, it's been about 2 hours. So I can see an hour and a half, but every company fucking lies about the time on the box, so it's just to sell copies. 40 minutes, wow, that's a short game. It's like, we got you. Yeah, even the multiplayer game I played was about 2 hours. So that's been my average anyway, and I'm not like a prone AP player. Like, I feel like I'm actually pretty quick on what I want to do. Maybe I'm slower on solo because it's just me. Like, so it's like it's almost always my turn, because normally I'm the kind of player that will, do my turn when it's everyone else's turn, unless it's heavily involved with, me. I already know what I want to do on my next turn, so that when it comes back, I'm just like, oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. Unless something might have changed where it's like, oh man, I wanted that card. Shit. Okay. Oh well, let me try and figure it out. So yeah, that's another reason why I wouldn't recommend it. Playing with more than 2, like, just because if you're running 3 or 4 people, it's just now 4 people sitting around the table, heads into their cards. So, I mean, with that, obviously do whatever you want. I would just highly recommend getting Imperium strictly for solo play. And I would also recommend it if you're on the fence about solo gaming, or this game at all, just because it is so smart at how they designed this game in the solo variant. Like I said, it's very, very rare where I want to play a game again immediately after doing it, and then just to see, oh, well, I'm curious how this bot plays. And for the record, the bot's not easy. At least it's not for me. Like, I felt like I was doing pretty good both times, and it's been close. Like last game I played against the Chin, I was playing Arthur. It was like I feel like it was actually roughly around that, like mid 70s, mid to late 70s on their end, and mid to late 60s on my end. So it's very close. It's literally like one fame card away, one less card giving to them. So yeah, it's not like they're unbeatable, and it's like if I looked at my cards a little bit more on kind of how they scored, it's like maybe I could edge out a little bit more. So that's always exciting. Now, I think it's extremely cool that they have each nation as the bot do their kind of their own thing. Like, they all have it. I mean, the Arthurians and the Atlanteans are a little weird, but like, if I played against the Egyptians, they have a barbaric way that they go about things, and then whenever they're a empire, then they start changing on how they want to play. I think that that is just fascinating. With that being said, like I said, I played the Arthurians earlier against the Chin. Playing against the Arthurians as a bot, I vaguely see, and this could be for a couple reasons, but I was going to say I kind of see that they play the way that they're supposed to when another person is playing them. I think the reason why I'm not like, whoa, that was just like when I was playing, is because at the end of the day, they are a bot. Like, it's like a program running it. Like, they're not reading the cards. They're not reading the text on it. They're just kind of like, you flip it, oh, it's a permanent, okay, here's what they do. Yeah, they have knights, yeah, they do this. Like, they did pretty much, I mean, in a nutshell, what the Arthurians and the way I played them was, they won a bunch of regions because you garrison a lot of knights into those regions, which then you play Merlin to get your quests. Like, they don't have development cards, they have impending quests that they go on. Then those quest items are tied with knights, and that's how they start getting these kinds of cards. Civilized, uncivilized, and tribulation. It's not tribulation. Tributaries. And they were doing that. They were going out and getting regions, and then eventually they were getting their knights discarded to then get quests done. But I think also at the same time, the reason why like I didn't feel like it was the Arthurians was because it was so mechanical. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that if you're going to be kind of like me, what I was hoping was, oh wow, I was like, because I had just played them and I was engrossed in the theming of Arthur, I thought that was going to come out while playing. And the bot doesn't. The bot's theming of the nation or the civ doesn't necessarily come out. You see, oh, hey, yeah, that's how that deck was designed. That's what it's doing, loosely. But you're not engrossed. Like, yeah, you can kind of put a little more into it. Oh, whenever it got its first quest, it was like, oh, hey, yeah, Sir Gawain completed the first quest. But because you're not the one playing it, then you're not, invoking that theme into it. Unlike whenever I was playing as the Egyptians, yeah, I was seeing all the art, I was seeing all the cards, so I was just like, yeah, like, Egypt, totally get it. And that's not necessarily, it's not a negative by any means, it's just something that I wasn't prepared for whenever I was going to play against them, and I picked them specifically because it was something I had just played, and it was going to be a good test or experiment. But overall, like, yeah, like, the each bot plays completely differently, like, for how they're going to be interacting with the game board. Like, the Qin Dynasty was big on population and spending population to be able to put stuff into their history. I can even look at, their thing. Where are you? Oh yeah, there. It's in alphabetical order. So yeah, they were big on also regions, abandoning regions to get fame. but then, causing people to remove their regions. So whenever, as the Arthurians, whenever I was playing as them and I needed regions out to be able to go on quests, the Qin was constantly removing those. So I had to kind of like strategize for that and have like a buffer region out while I sent all my knights on one. And because the Arthurians don't really attack or deal with really anyone else, as the Egyptians, I didn't even really have to attack back or defend myself. I was able to also just get regions out to then flood all them to become glorious and get the resources off the land. So you do play your nation. This is one of my favorite things about certain solo games, is you play Imperium. Like, you don't have to do anything really weird or wonky with your style of play. You just pick a deck, set it up like normal, and you're like, boom, I'm going to try this. I'm going to play Egypt again, and this is how I'm going to try certain things. Even if you play the Arthurians, the way that their cards are going to come out on their run is going to cause them to do certain things. In this particular case, they had multiple attack cards, but no knights to actually go out and get quests, so they didn't ever really get the Grail. Not that it mattered. But that's the thing, is like, okay, well, that's just how it works out. So I like the fact that even the bot isn't one note. Yeah, you kind of know their gist, and which makes sense. Like, if you're playing against an AI on a computer game, you're going to know what the AI does. Like, they kind of remind me in a similar, with that idea of, like, if you were to fight like a From Software boss, like a Dark Souls boss, and you're like, you learn its pattern. Like, that's how you beat it. It's like, if it did something different every single time, then you would never beat it unless it was just pure RNG, and you're like, okay, well, I hope I'm lucky that it's stupid this time. The bots aren't like that. The bots, yeah, here's their pattern. This is what they're going to do. So now you need to be able to compensate for that and play to your faction strength. And depending on who you're playing, you're going to go about that a different way. I find that extremely fascinating. It's mind-boggling where you have realistically 16 factions, and all of them can be bots. Therefore, all of them are going to play different, and who you play against those different bots will be a different experience. And I know they've announced another Imperium, so that's most likely 8 more. So now you have 24 bots, you have 24 playable factions, and any combination of that against what you want to play against as your nation versus theirs. Negative on the bots? I mean, do I wish the theming of the bot came out a little bit more? I do. And another pretty interesting thing is each nation, I keep saying nation, but it's civilization, I guess, whatever, comes with a difficulty. The Arthurians are a 5, and when I played them, I was like, oh yeah, they're a little weird. They have a lot of weird things to go with going about getting cards and kind of how you're gonna end up getting points by the end of it. But they're a difficulty 5. The Egypt, they are 3. That's a solo book. I'm an idiot. They are difficulty 3. Yeah. So, as the Egyptians, your empire builders with so many opportunities for development, you'll want to consider carefully the best order in which to expand your deck. With your infrastructure located around Egypt's famous river, the frequent flood of the Nile can bring new opportunities for growth, and you'll want to keep an eye out for key civilization cards in the market. Well, the Arthurians never become an empire, instead pursuing quests and chasing after the legendary Grail. Your knights are vital, granting powerful boons as they are garrisoned. Send them on quests for Murden Vilt, or take a darker path and use Morgana's powers. Looming over you is the Battle of Camlin, Gwaith Camlin, which will see your knights fall and your kingdom suffer mounting unrest. And kind of so difficulty 5 and then Egypt 3. And that difficulty is just kind of potentially arbitrary in that it's I don't feel like I lost because they were a 5. That's the thing. And even whenever I do lose, this is one where I don't feel bad. Like, I felt I played pretty good. And maybe that could be a slight negative for some people, is you're kind of so engrossed in your own, at least in solo play, you kind of don't really know where they're at, unless you are the kind of person that will just constantly keep track of where their scores are at, but that just seems annoying. I feel like the way, like, just kind of the uncertainty could be annoying for a lot of people. That doesn't bug me. I'm not one of those players in a multiplayer game where I have to know where everyone's at. I actually like to be surprised by final scoring, because it's like, oh yeah, okay, I have 65. 120? Like, what the fuck? Oh my god, never mind, I don't want to play anymore. So that's just kind of around, like, you just kind of, it's kind of a guessing game. You're just like, oh, well, I hope I did good enough to win. But you can also, because it's solo, you have control over kind of what they're going to do. You can, when they acquire stuff, you know in what order it's going on their deck. So you can be like, oh, okay, I know what they're playing here, I know what they're playing here. Therefore, they're going to want to acquire a region with that first card, unless the die roll is the one that isn't. But let's say that goes off. So then you're not going to put a progress token onto something that they might want. You can kind of game it in that way to force them to take certain cards, or to remove cards so they can't take them and get victory points. But that's just what you would do against another player anyway. If there's a card that's really good out there and you don't have a means to take it, but you have a means to remove it, that's what you would do. You do the same thing for the bot. So that feels like you're playing against another player. Surprisingly, other negatives, I really don't have any. Like, the way that they gain material and population isn't annoying like it is in other games. I've played games where it's just like, you're busting your ass managing resources. You're just like, okay, I'm going to need to play these 17 cards in a row to get one material. And then, with that material, I can feed my people, and hopefully I can actually continue playing. And I don't have to suck on the end of a gun tonight. That's not this. And with some of those games where you are playing against a bot, and the bot's just like, yeah, I just have all these. What do you have? Nothing? Yeah, I just get these. These are all points, by the way. I don't even spend them. I don't have to even spend these. So these are all my victory points and my materials. By the way, these are actually doubled. When they're in a mound like that, then it's actually like an infinite number of points. And you lose. I really hate bots like that. This game does not have that. Yeah, they get population. Yeah, they get resources. And technically, those are victory points at the end. It's like every set of 10 is 1 point. It's like, whoa. And they never spend it, but at the same time, it's so easy for you to get them too. Like, every time I've played this, I've never had to want for resources. And another thing, I guess, about the Arthurians is they got 24 points off of Prospect Project, and that's a little less than what I did when I played them. So they're big on progress tokens. So that did feel correct, which I kind of was thinking they were gonna be like. I was very curious at how they were gonna do their quests. So that's not even a negative. That doesn't bug me. And another positive about this game is the fact that, like, you just get to play actually against other nations. Like, the Imperial Settlers, which I don't know if you can see, it's right over there, is another Civ-style game, kind of in this same vein, where you pick a civilization you play, and they have their own unique, oh, you're the Atlanteans, here's kind of their special stuff. You're the Japanese faction, here's their special stuff. You don't, in the solo game, which is pretty good for Imperial Settlers, it's going to beat your own score, but you only fight against the barbarians. And that's fine. There's really nothing wrong with that, but I'm so glad they didn't do that here as a, oh, no, pick your nation and then set up the barbarians. Or there's an arbitrary whatever that you just kind of play your deck. So it is extremely nice that you still have an actual competitor that is taking cards, that is manipulating cards and affecting you in some way, and feels like you're. I mean, there was never a time where I was like, I don't really care what they're doing. Like, okay, no, it was every time it was their turn. It's like boom, boom, boom. Okay, please don't be this. Please don't be this. Oh, thank God. Like when I fought against the Arthurians or against the Chin, I was like, please don't be an attack card. Please don't be an attack card. I need this region. Just don't take. Oh, thank God, I didn't play a single one. Woo! So I very much appreciate that exists here. Other than that, I don't have any negatives that I can think of. I think also as a player, like normally sometimes solo bots are a lot to manage. And I think these nation things are going to make it like, I mean, it's a chart. And you're just like, yeah, that looks like a lot. It's really not. Like, it's literally because you don't have to, because you don't have to memorize this. Just whatever you're playing against. Oh, I'm playing against the Celts. Okay. There they are, so I'll just leave that open. This will never change. And then, oh, I flip it over. Oh, okay, it was their glory card. If able, abandon 3 regions to gain the top fame card. Otherwise, discard the top dynasty card, and you, as you the player, take an unrest. Okay, that was that. That was that card. Discard. It only goes into history when this says it does. This is them, and that's really it. It's so clean of a game. So with that being said, I hate it because I lost. That, I think, is my thoughts on Imperium Legends. On a scale of 1 to 10, when I first, like I said, I did this as a video prior, but where I played the Arthurians against the Chin, and I was like, I want to do another example, so I could talk more on how the bots feel when compared to something that I just have in recollection. I'm like, yes, I just played them, so that gives me a perfect example of how the bot works. And I gave the game an 8 the first time I did the discussion, and I think because of the fact that I actually was like, I really want to play it again, I want to test it out, and I did just as good, and they did just as good, and the fact that the game felt completely different with the Arthurians, I think really the only reason they don't feel like them is because you're not reading the cards or seeing the art. I think that's really it. I think pretty much they did play similar to how I played. So I think I'm going to give this game a 9. I am going to bump it up one more because I am just that much more impressed with how the solo variant works. And that is kind of the basis of my ranking here, is off the solo variant. I would play this with someone, like if someone was like wanting to see what this game was like, I'd be like, yeah, let's just bump out. Okay, yeah, what nation do you want to be? I mean, like between the 16, yeah, pick one. But at the end of the day, that's not going to be my preferred way to play it. It is going to be solo. And yeah, this is up there. This is up there for a solo experience for me. This would probably, if not definitely, break into a top 10 solo games for me. So yeah, I'm going to bump this up to a 9. I think it's really, really good. Reason why it doesn't get a 10 is it just doesn't. Really, like, it's just not that kind of game that I'm going to break out of 10. So, but still, like 9 out of 10 for Imperium Legends / Classic. It's the same pretty much. But that's it, everyone. That is my thoughts on Imperium. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.